यहाँ एक बात और आपसे निवेदन करनी है कि ऐसी समाज जागरण का दस्तावेज ये प्रत्येक घर में जाए, विशेष रूप से हमारी जो युवा पीढ़ी है वो इसे पढ़े। ये गुजराती भाषा में है। यहाँ ऐसे भी बंधु भगिनी होंगे जो अगर गुजराती नहीं समझते हैं तो उनका यहाँ ये दायित्व तो बनता है कि वो अपने किसी गुजराती भाषी मित्र को ये भेंट में देवे। हम इस पुस्तक को जितने घरों में पहुंचाएंगे, ये भी एक समाज जागरण का एक कार्य है। इसका हिंदी संस्करण भी भारतीय विचार मंच शीघ्र ही यहाँ उपलब्ध कराएगी। तो जो भी बंधु इस पुस्तक को खरीदना चाहे वो कार्यक्रम के पश्चात बाहर स्टॉल लगा है, वहाँ से ले सकते हैं। और मैं निवेदन करता हूँ डॉक्टर Dr.S.L.Bhairappa जी से, कृपया सभा को जो है अपना उद्बोधन प्रस्तुत करें।
Respected President of this function and all the Karyakartas of Bharati Vichar Manch, literature of Surat city. I think it is relevant for you, or you are expecting me to explain to you the background of my writing this novel. I am basically a student of philosophy. I did my MA in philosophy and started my career as a lecturer in philosophy in Sardar Patel University, Anand. And then I did my PhD from MS University of Baroda. The subject was Truth and Beauty, a study in correlation. What is the relationship between truth and beauty? I was interested in literature right from my student days. That made me my study for PhD made me to think deeply about the purpose of art, purpose of music, painting, drama, literature, dance, etc. And later on my interest was drawn towards creative writing, that is, towards writing novels. Therefore, right from the beginning, from my first novel, for me writing literature was a serious pursuit of truth. Now, what is the purpose of human mind? This question also bothered me. Human mind is, for the purpose of study, it is divided into three categories: intellect, emotion, and then will. Intellectual activity leads to various sciences, physical sciences and social sciences. Emotion leads to various arts, and will leads to all our activities. What is the purpose of all these? The purpose of all this is the search for truth. Progress of humanity means search for truth. Because truth is such a vast thing that we do not know yet. But the mission of life is to search what is truth. It is not merely science which searches truth, art also searches truth. When you listen to music, the musician searches truth. It is a different kind of truth. It is emotional truth. In painting, it is search of truth. In literature also, it is search of truth. Maybe the literary person takes the form of a story, but his purpose is the search of truth. In morality, what do we find? Again, search of truth. I continued my literary writing career with this conviction. This is one aspect of my intellectual background. Another aspect was, I was a student of history right from my high school days. There was a very good history teacher who created interest in me in the studies for the studies of history, and I continued that. Indian history I used to study even while I was studying intermediate. And later on, I read all the volumes of history which was inspired and then which came into being by the efforts of K.M. Munshi, Bharati Vidyabhavan's 8 volumes of Indian history I had read even while I was a student. And later on also I continued my studies of history. Now, after this, I worked in Sardar Patel University for 6 years, and then I went to Delhi and became a reader in philosophy of education in NCERT, National Council for Educational Research and Training. At that time, the government came with a plan. The government's thinking was, all our textbooks, especially in schools, or especially social sciences books like history, sociology and literature, are full of poisonous elements which create differences between one community and another community, and these elements must be completely cleaned from the textbooks. And for that, the government appointed a committee with Mr. G. Parthasarathi, who was formerly an Indian ambassador and then who was an Indian ambassador to UNO, an elderly man at that time, and a committee was formed with Parthasarathi as the chairman and 5 other members. And I was one of them because my background was philosophy. Now, in the first meeting itself, Parthasarathi explained the purpose of the committee, saying that all this dirt in our social sciences books should be washed. That is the purpose of the committee. I just asked him, sir, will you please give some examples? And then he said, take in our history books, usually there are various stories about Aurangzeb, Tughlaq, and so many other Muslim kings who have destroyed this temple, that temple, etc. Now, all this should be removed because when our children read these details, their mind get poisoned. It comes in the way of national integration. Our purpose of education is to integrate the nation. I just asked him, sir, what is the purpose of teaching history? Then he said, purpose of history? You are a philosopher, tell me what is the purpose of history? I said, my question is not purpose of history. My question is, what is the purpose of teaching history? The purpose of teaching history, according to me, is to find the truth, to let the students understand the truth of our own truth, our ancestors' truth, our country's truth in historical time. And then he asked me, give me an example. I said, you go to Banaras, and in Banaras there is Kashi Vishwanath temple. Today's Kashi Vishwanath temple is as small and as dirty as a cow shed. And just by the side of Vishwanath temple, there is a huge masjid built by Aurangzeb. And there is a Nandi. And that Nandi is looking at the masjid, not as Vishwanath. Now, when we take our students for their tour, they ask, what is this? Which is Vishwanath, which is Mandir, and why is it that this Nandi is looking in this direction? What should the teacher say? Should he tell the truth or not? And the great ambassador, he was a diplomat, and the diplomat could not answer this question. By then, lunch time came, lunch was supplied, and then we dispersed, 6 of us dispersed, and during the lunch time, Mr. Parthasarathi took me to a side and then put his hand on my shoulder in a very friendly way and then said, oh, you see, you are coming from Karnataka. Karnataka people are very intelligent. I come from Tamil Nadu. So we are very close. See, your objections are all right, but when you have to run a government, you have to compromise in various ways. So you should understand why the meetings are called and why the committees are formed, etc. You see, you are a brilliant man. So he said it. I kept quiet. And after we reassembled again, he said, let us go to the next point, namely, how to implement it. And then we said, sir, you have not answered my question. What is the purpose of teaching history? Should we tell the truth or should we not tell the truth? I continued my argument. And this argument continued for nearly an hour. Then the ambassador looked at his watch and said, shall we disperse the meeting for today and meet tomorrow? Yes, the meeting was dispersed. And tomorrow, the meeting did not take place. After 15 days, there was a circular in which my name as a member was dropped and another committed Marxist name was there. And later on I followed what this committee did was, in all the schools, in all the states of India, all the textbooks were completely washed. Now, I was very much moved by this. I was an educationist. What is the purpose of education? What is the purpose of writing history? By nature, I am not an activist. I am only an academic person. I always sit for myself in silence and then think and then write. I am not an activist. So I kept quiet. I was thinking about it. That was one experience. Another very important experience was, I am very fond of travel. I went to Pratapgarh in Maharashtra. I had read in my high school history book that there was a fight between Shivaji and then Afzal Khan. That fight took place in Pratapgarh. Shivaji was at the top of the hill with his limited number of bodyguards and then soldiers, and Afzal Khan came with a big army and he surrounded, and there was no way for Shivaji to escape. Then Afzal Khan asked Shivaji, sent words to Shivaji, is he ready to come and negotiate peace? Negotiating peace means surrendering his kingdom. And there was no way for Shivaji. Shivaji said, I will come and meet Afzal Khan. Shivaji knew what Afzal Khan would do it. Therefore, he had an instrument called Vyagranaka. You must have, all of you must have heard about it. He had an instrument called Vyagranaka. He had it. And then there was a tent in the middle of the hill. And Shivaji kept his bodyguards ready outside. Afzal Khan came. Afzal Khan was a very tall, hefty, well-built person. Shivaji was only 5 feet 6 inches. You know, physical strength depends upon the mass of muscles that we have. So physically Shivaji was not equal to Afzal Khan's physical strength. So when Shivaji entered the tent, Afzal Khan, in a show of friendship, he hugged Shivaji. His plan was to choke Shivaji into death. And Shivaji knew it before Afzal Khan did what he wanted to do. Shivaji put his Vyagranaka to the hip of Afzal Khan and then drew it. And Afzal Khan said, oh! And immediately Shivaji's bodyguards rushed inside, killed Afzal Khan. And when the general himself is killed, the soldiers of Afzal Khan lost their courage. They started running, and then Shivaji's soldiers followed and then killed them. This is what I had read in history. Now, when I went this time to see this mountain, this hill, Pratapgarh, I engaged a guide, and the guide took me and showed me, see, this is the Mahabaleshwar mountain, and that is that mountain, this is this mountain, the sea is this direction, and all that and all that. And then he took me to the top to Devi Mandir. And then he said, sir, my duty is over, and after you see the Devi Mandir, there is nothing to see. I asked him, Bhai, which is the place where the fight between Shivaji and then Afzal Khan took place? And he said, which fight, sir? There was no such fight here. I asked him, are you a trained guide? Do you know history or not? He said, sir, I am trained, sir. Then you should show me that. He said, there is no such thing, sir. Then I paid him 5 rupees extra. And then said, Bhai, come and tell me. He took me to the middle of the place. There was a dargah in green color, and they said, sir, this is the place. I said, this is a dargah, it is not the place. And how could there be a dargah? Dargah can be built only on the death place of a saint, a Sufi saint. He was not a Sufi saint. How can it be dargah? And he said, sir, there was election, and in the election, some group asked the ruling party that if permission is given to build a dargah here, they would vote the party. And then the permission was given, sir. And afterwards, we were all instructed not to not to explain anything about it. We are asked to keep silent, and just because you showed some friendly gesture, I told you all these things. Please don't tell anybody that I told you this. No. What is happening to us? We are suppressing truth. We are suppressing truth. We are suppressing truth in Banaras, suppressing truth everywhere, suppressing truth in Pratapgarh. Now, I being a student of philosophy, a philosophical concept developed in my mind. It came to my memory. The concept is Avarana and Vikshepa. This is a concept of Vedanta. This is a concept of Buddhism also. Throughout in Indian philosophy, this concept is there. Avarana means to cover the truth. Vikshepa means to project the untruth. And throughout, our philosophers have given the example of mistaking the rope for the snake. Mistaking the rope for the snake. Say in the evening dusk, some 4 or 5 of you are going for a walk, and there is, on the way there is a rope, and out of 4 or 5, you alone mistake it for a snake and a snake. Then your friends will ask, where is the snake? Just look there. And they say, and then say, no, it's not snake, it is only rope. How is it that you mistook the rope for the snake and others did not mistake it? You mistook it because of your samskara. Where was the rope? Where was the snake? The snake was here in your head. It was not there, it was in your head. Therefore, it projected itself. It covered the truth, it projected the untruth. This is how falsity arises. Now, this falsity is being projected, it is being developed and perpetuated in our understanding of our own history, in our understanding of our own culture, in understanding of our own selves. Namely, we are cowards, we were cowards, our religion is a covered religion, and our culture is a hopeless culture. It is being taught into us, and we believe in it. The British did it afterwards because for the British who wrote modern history of India, it's the Europeans. Most work was done by the British. And when they wrote our history, there was an ulterior motive. That means to perpetuate the British Empire. And when the British left, our next rulers also perpetuated the same. The result was, we are studying the same thing, and then there is for some other reason, there is a purpose to perpetuate the same thing, this Avarana and then this Vikshepa. Now, this was the intellectual background which prompted me to write a novel on this topic. Before writing it, I always do serious work, serious study, serious research before I write any novel. Now for this also, I did very serious research. I have given list of 136 books at the end of this novel as a part of the novel. But I have read more number of books. I took 4 years to read all those and then to absorb that and then to write it. What you write about it need not necessarily be the absolute truth, because what you write maybe is your interpretation. If your interpretation becomes the correct interpretation, provided your mind is clean, if your mind is motivated, if your mind is governed by some other purposes, some other forces, etc., no, it can't be correct. So, historiography itself is an academic discipline. Now, in this novel, there are two levels: the actuality of history and then the historiography. That means our modern intellectuals. There are so many. There is a very powerful trend of the intellectuals in modern times who twist everything, who are very vocal in everything. So, combining the two and writing this novel has involved a lot of technical skill. You know, even in writing a novel, it is not simply writing a story. It requires technical skill. Only a person who has the experience of writing a novel can understand it. Ordinary readers do not understand. Or a good student of literature understands it. No, it requires a technical skill. I have used all these skills. And also, the new skill that I have employed in writing this novel is, I have mixed the research skill with the literary creative skill. The literary creative skill, why did I mix this is, any so-called intellectuals of our country today, after reading this book would say, oh, it is all bunkum, there is no basis for that. They would dismiss it. In order to see that they don't dismiss it, at every stage in the very text of the novel, I have inbuilt the references. In every important places, I have inbuilt the references, so that they cannot say that this is mere imagination, there is no historical basis, etc. And also, the list of the books that I have given at the end, 136 books, is a part of the novel. It is not outside the novel asking the readers for references. It is not. It is a part of the novel. In order to understand the novel, if you have any doubt about the novel, go to these books. If you don't, you need not. But if you have doubt, you must go to that. Now, this is all technical efforts that I have done. On the face of it, it is a very serious novel. But it has become so popular that when this book, within 15 days of the book coming to the market, as he said, the first edition was sold out before it came to market. Second edition sold out before it came to market. Third edition sold out before it came to market. And all the booksellers asked the publishers, readers are coming, book buyers are coming to our shops, but we don't have the books. Why do you do like this? First supply books to us. That was the demand. After the book was supplied to the market, to the bookshops, on the 15th day, a lady conducted a seminar on the novel. And to attend the seminar, she put a ticket of 50 rupees. Can you understand in India, can you imagine in India, people paying money to attend a seminar and sit in the seminar as listeners? It did take place. The hall was full and it was overflowing. And that lady did not do it for money. She supplied, free refreshments, free tea, etc., etc., out of the same money. Now, it only means that this novel attracted the people so much. Why did it approach the people so much? Because what I have written in the novel is not in any way completely my creation. Never, it is not my creation. It is not something which the readers did not know. When you read the novel, you understand that you also knew the whole thing. But my creativity consists in putting the things in an artistic manner in such a way that it touches your heart. And when it touches your heart, you will realize, yes, this is what I was feeling all along, but I did not know how to put it into proper shape. And because you get that feeling, you are emotionally moved. That is all my creativity, and there is nothing special in my creativity. You have heard it patiently. Thank you. If you have questions, you may ask me. By taking the students to historical sites and then let the students see the historical sites and then explain it at the site itself. That is the best way of teaching history. Explain to you, but unfortunately you have held this function today. If they had heard it, this function tomorrow, I would have explained to you with greater detail.
गुजराती या हिंदी?
कोई बात नहीं,
ये पुस्तक में आमिर को कोई अच्छा व्यक्ति नहीं बताया गया है, फिर भी लास्ट में उसको हीरो बना दिया, तो वो लास्ट में थोड़ा अजीब सा लगता है उसमें।
It is not deliberate. You see, what happens is, when you write a story, the force of the story also takes you in a particular direction. You see, when he has lived with Lakshmi for so many years, for nearly 33, 34 years, when he also has the experience of marrying another woman, and when he becomes dissatisfied with that marriage, and when he starts appreciating Lakshmi for her performance in the conference which was held at Delhi, etc., should he not feel sympathy or empathy towards Lakshmi? It is quite natural. He did it in a very natural way. Just because he is a Muslim, why should we, condemn him in the black color? I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to take any sides. I wanted to keep the impartiality of a creative writer.
Good evening, sir. Hello. Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sir, my question is, don't you think Mr. Parthaswamy was right by removing that chapters of Aurangzeb and this thing from that book? Hello. Don't you think Mr. Parthaswamy was right by removing that chapters of Aurangzeb from the textbooks?
Afzal Khan, I have not introduced in the book.
No, not Afzal Khan. Mr.
Discuss about it in your lecture.
Mr. Parthaswamy and committee. Mr. Parthaswamy and the committee.
The chapter was removed from that.
Okay.
No. It was not like that. Parthasarathi was only my experience which prompted me to think about this problem, and this Parthasarathi episode took place much earlier, and I wrote this novel at least about 30-35 years later.
Your experience was he was wrong by removing that chapters.
Also political motivation.
No, he is advocating Parthasarath's view. That's what.
Yes.
He is advocating.
Yes, that's all.
He was wrong.
Yes, it was a political
Okay.
The whole committee itself was arranged for political motives.
Is that job that good? Even though it creates hatred.
See, one thing, why should it create hatred? I ask a question. We have formed our constitution. In our own history, in the history of the Hindus, it is true that in Manudharma Shastra, Manu has upheld Asprashyata. It was our practice at a particular period of time in our history. Who were the new constitution writers? All our great eminent thinkers and scholars of that time. K.M. Munshi was a member, and then Babu Rajendra Prasad was a member. Both of them scholars. Rajaji was a member. Venkataraman Shastri was a member.